Section 5, speech making skills. You see how we are progressing from writing to speech making skill. Speaking is an interactive process of constructing meaning that involves producing and receiving and processing information. Producing, receiving, and processing information. Each form and meaning are dependent on the context in which it occurs, including the participants themselves, their collective experiences, the physical environment, and the purposes for speaking. It is often spontaneous, open-ended, and evolving. That's for speech-making skill. So now, what is speech-making? According to R.W. Emerson, speech is power, and speech is to persuade, to convert, to compel. Speech-making is a talk, an address, or any form of oral presentation, especially in a formal setting, on a subject by a speaker and before an audience. So when someone mounts a podium and starts saying something about something, the person is making a speech, and the person wants the audience to understand and to pick interest in what he or she is saying. So this means that choice of word, body language, gestures, postures, eye contact, touching, dresses, examples, dress color, voice modulation, and all these things are effective in speech-making skills. When someone mounts a podium to give a speech, there are so many things you're looking at. You're admiring the person's outfit, the person's dress, the person's tone of voice, intonation, pronunciation, gestures, body movement, and all that. So all these things come together to make you a good speech or speech-making skills. Okay, effective speaking will include among these things the following: effective use of language, audience consideration, credibility, that starts and speaker, having a purpose, making audience see, hear, or feel, encouraging or empowering them for action, and helping them to remember. Whenever you're giving a speech, always consider your audience. What is the purpose of your speech? Are you speaking to encourage them? Are you speaking to inform them? Or are you speaking to, have them buy what you have to sell, or an idea you're selling to them? We have types of speeches. We have informative speech, demonstrative speech, persuasive speech, and special occasions. The first one, informative speech, is intended simply to inform your audience on some topic. As a student, you hear informative speeches all day long in your classes, as your teachers and professors stand up in front of the class and lecturing on various subjects. So whenever a lecturer comes into your class as a student, the person has come to inform you, to tell you something that you've not known about, to tell you about economics, about agriculture, about mathematics, about science. So informative speeches come with informing you, teaching you something that you've not known before. The next one is demonstrative speech, and this is closely related to the informative speech because it centers on providing your audience with information. The main difference, however, is that the demonstrative speech is a how-to lecture. Demonstrative, the person comes to tell you how to, all right? Rather than passing oral information to your listeners, you are teaching them some very practical skills. That is for demonstrative. Demonstrative speeches actually could come with a visual aid, okay? Where you guys here, where you have probably a computer, or you want to teach people on how to make bread. That's a demonstrative speech. So you come with all the materials for making the bread, and as you are teaching them, you are demonstrating them what you're teaching and they're learning. You're not just giving them raw materials, you're giving them practical information on how to go about that particular thing. Okay, persuasive speech is also related to the informative speech, except that you are doing more than simply providing information on your topic. You are also providing your own opinion on that topic and attempting to persuade your audience that your opinion is correct. So, persuasive speech, people are talking about rape, for instance, and then someone says, oh, girls are raped because they dress indecently. That's everybody's opinion, or most people's opinion. And then you want to give a persuasive speech that no, girls are not raped because they are not well dressed. That there's no justification justification for it, whether the person is well dressed or not. There's no justification. So you're trying to persuade the audience to see reasons with you that irrespective of how a lady dresses, that doesn't give you a right, or that doesn't justify the fact that he or she should be raped. So that's like you giving your opinion and being persuasive about it for the audience to buy what you are saying, buy into what you're saying. Okay, special occasions. The final category of speech making is quite broad and differs significantly from the others. You might be asked to say a few words at a special occasion, which could be as little as 1 minute toast or as lengthy as a 30-minute speech. So you come into a wedding and then maybe you were told or you were not told to give a toast. So you say something, it's a special occasion. You just say a few words, or in someone's burial, okay, you're asked or called upon to give a condolence message. Okay, that's an example. Toasting the bride and groom at a wedding, introducing the main speaker at a conference, summarizing a project status at a business meeting, lodging a friend at a funeral, presenting or accepting an award at a banquet. So these are special occasion speeches. It could come impromptu. There are two types. You have the prepared speech and the impromptu speech. It could come prepared. You were told maybe a few months or a few days before, or it could come impromptu. You were told at the very middle of the occasion. So making a prepared speech at a special occasion. If you are warned ahead of time that you'll be called upon to say a few words at some special occasion, you will follow all the same techniques that you've been discussing thus far. If you're called to give a special speech on an occasion, take note of what the person wants from you, the time frame, the exact topic the person wants to talk about, and the rest of them. So making an impromptu speech at a special occasion, there will be times when someone will ask you to say a few words without advance notice, asking you to stand up right there and then to address the audience and all that. But the same principle applies to an impromptu speech as to any other speech. So, it calls for you to be always ready. You could walk into a friend's birthday party just there to show your presence and give a gift. And then the friend, oh, my friend Joe is here. Joe, can you say something to the celebrant? And then Joe stands up. Oh, the celebrant is that. So you have to always be ready to say something. People say that a wise man always has something to say. So you should always have something to say. Okay. Strategies for effective speaking. 10 strategies for preparing an effective speech. The first one is know the topic. Before giving a speech, the first thing you should be able to be certain about is the topic of what you're talking about. If you don't know the topic, I don't think you'll be able to actually you might say something, but what you would say might be out of context from the main topic. So know the topic of what you're asked to talk about. Speak with a purpose. An effective speech is one with purpose in which the speaker has a point to make. According to the Writing Center at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, a speaker should have a goal of the speech causing a reaction from the audience. Speak with purpose. Let the audience see the purpose of your speech, what you intend to achieve in speaking to them. Be interesting and energetic. If a speech is written in a boring way, or if it is delivered by a speaker, who is using a soft, monotone voice, it will be difficult for the audience to become engaged. There are some people that have the good thing to say, they have a well-prepared speech, but the way they say it, the tone they say, their gestures, they could be lazy with it, and then it makes the whole thing boring. So you have to be interesting and energetic. In the middle of the speech, give an instance, say something, focus on someone, call someone out, just make your audience to focus on you and get what you have to say. Keep the speech simple. A speech with long words that are difficult for others to understand are going to lead an audience to lose interest or feel as if they're being talked at. rather than spoken to. When you want to give a speech and you have, in the middle of every sentence, you have one vocabulary that someone has to go back to, know the meaning before they come back and connect to you, it makes the whole thing, boring. So keep your speech as simple as they come and relate them to people's everyday life, what they can relate with on a daily basis. Okay? Restate important points. When you're giving a speech, it is important that you restate the points. This helps to show the audience its importance. If you're saying something, you talk on a particular thing, you repeat it. Okay? For someone, it makes the audience, maybe someone who didn't want to write it down, would actually write it down because you've been repeating it. So they know it is an important information that you're giving to them. Transition effectively. Transitioning well is an important part of an effective speech. Transitions help a speech move forward from one point to other. Effective transitions can include using words such as first, next, finally. So you're talking and then you say, finally, yeah? Maybe someone that wanted to walk away heard you say finally, and they said, okay, they said finally, let's just wait. Or however, or first of all. So these transitions help your speech to be simple and well understood. Use visual aids. Excuse me. Visual aids help an audience understand a topic by seeing it in addition to hearing content described. So when you are giving a speech, you could use visual aids, maybe a projector, or you call two persons to use them and give an example. It makes what you said to stick, because what people see, images stick more, sometimes more than words. Okay, incorporate humor. Yeah, humor can also help the audience better relate to the speaker and see her as the person they want to listen to. There are people that are really humorous when they are talking. In the middle of their speech, when you think it's getting too boring, they give you one story, they give you one joke, people laugh, and then they connect back. So find a way to incorporate humor in your speech. It engages the audience and it gives them this relaxed feeling and love. They want to hear you more. Okay? Make eye contact. When you're giving a speech, make sure that you look at your audience. It makes them feel you're talking to them in particular. Okay? It tells the audience that he really knows what he's talking about. It gives you a sense of confidence when you are talking to your audience and you're looking them into the eyes. It gives them a sense of belonging. Okay? Researching and delivering a speech. There are just few steps to follow when you are researching and developing a speech. The first one, ensure that you lower your anxiety. If you are anxious or you are tense, to give a speech, it's likely you're fidgeting, you're shivering, you're sweating, you're shaking, your hands are shaking. It makes your speech not really interesting. The others are looking at you like, oh, what are we going to make out of you? But if you're confident, okay, it also makes the audience to have more interest in listening to you. Have a very deep breathing in order to calm down your anxiety. That's why some people tell you, breathe in, out, before you start. Okay, so you're relaxed, you exhale, and then you are relaxed. Engage in positive self-talk as a form of rehearsal. Positive self-talk, I do that personally. Sometimes when I want to give a speech, I first of all get into my room and speak to myself in the mirror. It helps, okay? You can just stand in front of the mirror, you're talking. So you are your first audience. You talk, you look at yourself in the mirror, you see how you express yourself. It helps you to rehearse your speech. Visualize yourself as succeeding. Yes, have a positive mental state. Be in a positive mental state of yourself succeeding. See yourself as, oh, I'm giving this speech, people are applauding me, people are saying, oh, wonderful speech. Have a mental view of yourself. This will embolden and also encourage you. Employ relaxation techniques. Yeah? You could have a seat beside there. Maybe you are the type that when you stand for too long to give a speech, you get tired and everything becomes boring. You could have a seat beside yourself. And then at some point you just sit back and still continue with your speech. Feel prepared for the task ahead. Feel. You have finished preparing, yes, but have a feel or a feeling of preparedness for the task ahead. Prepare and plan for the task ahead, okay? Identify the goal and purpose of the task. What is it you are to learn or demonstrate in the exercise before you? So as you're giving a speech, you could beside your book, you remember to say this joke, remember to talk about this incident. So as you're doing that, you remember, you chip it in your speech, and it makes the audience get more interested. It is advisable to ask for clarification of the task if you are unsure of its goal, purpose, or how you are to do. So ask questions if you're not sure. Active background knowledge, that is what you already know about the situation or task. You can relate your speech to something that's happened to you, yeah? Something people can, relate with. Relate the task to a similar situation, make association. Predict what is going to happen, that is, predict the vocabulary which will be needed. So all this will help you to have a very good speech and also a written speech, okay? So thanks for listening. Always practice the act of writing and public speaking using the guidelines you have received from this lesson. Thank you.